as they say, most of this game is mental. So in order to be the best competitor we can be and the most successful person we can be, we need to master the mental aspect of ourselves. One of the most important parts of the brain, especially for a competitor, is the limbic system, Limbic. This has to do with our behavior and our memory and how we learn from memories. And the way that we function, obviously, is really pattern-based. Positive patterns, negative patterns. Our brain recognizes things we do every day and associates them together. So it's very important to master your limbic system. And for instance, not only for positive, but for negative. So if someone were depressed and decided to do drugs or drink alcohol every time they're depressed, their limbic system is going to use that as a coping mechanism. And you're going to feel an even stronger urge to do those things every time you're depressed. Not only that, but since your body is going to be craving those substances, you're going to feel depressed more often of the time. Now, we can also train ourselves positively, though. So it's very important that we resist urges as much as we can. As high-level athletes, we need to try not to engage in these behaviors, and it's hard. I fail all the time at this. But one thing that I notice is that every time I resist an urge, resisting that urge becomes easier over time. So, for instance, eating junk food. The more I abstain from eating junk food, the easier it is for me to stay away from it. Whenever I slip up, if I'm sure other people can relate to this, when I find myself slipping up, I tend to go deeper down that hole. I tend to do worse. So if I make one mistake with my limbic system, I tend to give into a lot more temptation. So it's important for us to regulate ourselves and replace those bad patterns with good patterns. We need to train our brain, we need to train our memory to do positive things. And we're going to be a lot more successful when we do that. Now, we also need to do that with our behaviors. So we need to train ourselves to believe in ourselves. I know that when I was younger, when I had first done jiu-jitsu, I had a lot more give in me than I do now. When a match would go bad, I would typically do worse. And that might sound obvious, a match is going bad, you do worse. But I would be fine in the beginning of the match, but as soon as my opponent were to score some points on me, put me in a bad position, or escape a good position that I had, I felt myself mentally declining and getting worse. I have worked very hard over the last year or so to train myself to actually get better when things go bad. So when I get put in a bad position or I get points scored on me, I have rewired my brain to work harder, to push harder to win and come from behind. And this has brought me massive success. It's also taught me to not panic. Because again, with the limbic system, with our memory, with our patterns, if we panic every time things go bad, then that's all we'll ever do. But if we train ourselves to be calm in bad positions, then we get better and better at it. And that is so essential to becoming a good competitor. Now, I know I'm rambling on and on and on, so I'll basically cut it off there. But one of the main mindsets to becoming a better competitor is understanding this, understanding that we are pattern-based creatures and that we can replace these bad patterns with good patterns. And I guarantee when you start doing that, you're going to see massive results.